Audio rolling, Alyssa obsession, Rossini.
Here we go!
So, guys, I am obsessed with Rossini. I've always been obsessed with Rossini. You are also obsessed with Rossini, but you just don't understand that's who you're obsessed with. So, like, reason number one, I guess, to bring you on board with why you're obsessed with Rossini is because you have heard his music in every commercial you have ever watched. Ever. Period. I mean, we've got this commercial.
Go! Wow! Go Power Oats!
Go!
Made from oats.
Cheerios, Cheerios! Go, go, go!
And this commercial.
Peanut butter.
Chocolate!
You got your chocolate and my peanut butter.
And your peanut butter is on my chocolate.
It's delicious.
And this one. And this one, 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 because there are so many, you hear it every single. You hear Rossini every single day. It's crazy. How can you be dead for hundreds of years and everybody's still doing your work? That's crazy. I'm obsessed with that. That is the kind of enduring legacy. I mean, that's unreal, right? Like that's crazy. You have been dead for hundreds of years. I think that's all I want to say about that because I think I want to show a lot of clips. I think that's a clip heavy portion. Like we want to be like clip, 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 clip. Number two reason that I'm obsessed with Rossini is because he is productivity goals. You don't get people doing your stuff for 100 years after you die unless you have done so much stuff. Let's go to the evidence. This guy has written 40 operas, 39 of them being performed. One of them was never finished. 39 operas, okay? That's a lot, first of all. That's a lot of operas. He wrote the most of them between 1812 and 1823. He writes 32 operas. How many years is that? That's 9 years, right? Yes, that's 9 years. In 1812, he is 20 years old. And in 1823, he is 31 years old. Wait, is that 11 years? Oh, shit. I've said 9 years this whole time. It's 11 years. I told you I wasn't good at math. And it's not even that he's writing all these operas in all these years. It's not like he's like going home to his house and being like, let me make some pasta and like sit down and like write an opera. No, he's sitting in a carriage going like between Milan and Venice, trying to write operas in the back of a carriage. What? He's doing it with a quill in the back of a carriage. It's not even like, oh, well, they were all shit and we don't listen to them anymore because in that period are all the ones we listen to all the time. Don't act like you've accomplished anything because you haven't. Rossini did. Okay? It's my boy. Rossini did. You've done nothing. I've done nothing. He's rich. He is famous. People love him everywhere he goes. They are begging him to come write at places. They are saying, we will give you so much money if you will just come right here. If you will just come live in this city and write operas for the singers that we employ at this house. Please just come right here. And he's like, I mean, I don't really have anywhere else to go. So, like, people would be like, you're amazing. And he would be like, thanks. He was like very uncomfortable with praise. Unlike Donizetti, who like needed you to tell him that he was so good. Then he decides, well, I don't think I'm gonna write opera anymore. At 37. And then he's like, I'm bored. I don't want to do this anymore. The reason I'm obsessed with Rossini is because I don't care what y'all say, he is the father of the FIRE movement, okay? What's the FIRE movement? Okay, lean in close, y'all. FIRE, F-I-R-E, financial independence, retire early. Rossini is the father of the FIRE movement. I said it and I'm sticking to it. Come after me. Come at me in the comments. Anyway, so, you know why? Because he was able to retire at 37. Are you going to be retiring at 37? I know you're not. I know you're not. You're going to be working until you're 67, just like me. I'm going to be begging people to hire me at 67, and so are you. End of story. You have produced some of the most enduring music in the world, and you can just coast for the next 40 years? I hate everybody. He, like, eventually in his old age decides to write a little bit more music. None of it's opera, but he just writes stuff for fun because he has these, like, salons in his house where every famous musician you know of is like dying to be invited. They are dying to get an invitation. I can't with this. So, and also like the thing is too, like he lives to 76. What a boss. Like in when did he die? 1868? 1868. Living to 76 is a boss move, right? Like and this dude lives to 76 years old having gonorrhea, chronic depression, colorectal cancer. What? He's still alive at 76 because he's like, I got money to spend, y'all. I'm still here. Still here. Play my music. Say my name. It's Rossini telling you it's a boss. Boss. That brings me to my next point. His gonorrhea brings me to my next point. Rossini was a pimp. Why was Rossini a pimp? How was Rossini a pimp? Perché? I'm gonna tell you. Lord, we're gonna have to edit the hell out of me. I can't do this. Really? So, he's a pimp. Okay? So, he's moving around. He's doing all these operas. He's writing all over the place. He's super young. Prime of his life. Living it up. Meets this girl. Her name's Isabella. She's where it's at. Because she is... I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm going to have to take a refreshment break. Tabasco, if you want to sponsor us, tell us in the comments.
No Tabasco?
Also, Bullet Bourbon is what's in here. So if Bullet Bourbon wants to sponsor us, we'd be happy to take that too. Anyway, okay. We're talking about how he's a pimp. And how he had gonorrhea, because he did have gonorrhea. And I think he had the same gonorrhea this is conjecture. Okay, look, this is conjecture. I'm making this up right now. I am turning myself into a bel canto scholar in this moment by putting forth a theory that Rossini and Bellini had the same gonorrhea. Check me. You know why I know this? I'm going to tell you in just a second. So, he marries Isabella Colbran. Isabella Colbran is a totally different obsession. Y'all come back. I'm going to be talking about some bel canto divas later because these bitches are life. Look, they are crazy as shit. They are amazing. They wear awesome dresses. They gamble. It's ridiculous. They're nuts. Come back to this channel to see this later. I can't even go into it right now. They start an affair years before they even get married because, and at the time also she's like, maybe getting it with the King of Naples. She's like definitely getting it with his friend Barbaya, who ends up running La Scala Opera House. Everybody's trying to get at Isabella Colbran because she is the prima donna of every opera house in Italy at this point. There ain't nobody that don't know her name, and there ain't nobody that ain't heard her voice. She's amazing. She is a living example of the t-shirt that we're going to sell right here that says "Fock is fake." Because she ain't have no fox. She sang every fock. She Maria Callas'd her way all the way through every bit of rep. Sorry, but she did. So, Isabella Colbran meets Rossini. He starts writing lead roles for her. And I mean, when I say he starts writing lead roles for her, I mean he writes like 10 operas where the title character is a female and it's for her voice. And he even starts writing it a little bit easier when she starts sounding kind of bad. So that like... She can like warble her way through it, and he's like, that was good, baby. You were so good. You were so good. Right? And they booed her anyway. It was okay. It was a real sad story. Again, come back for another video on that. Anyway, so he marries her. He marries her in 1822. They're together for a long time. They travel together. People are dying to get them as a pair because he's writing music for her. She's the most famous singer of the day. They're dying to get them to come. So they do it for a long time. She premieres some of the like really famous stuff like Semiramide, she premieres Elisabetta, she premieres Zelmira, she premieres Ermione, like anything that is a female's name, she premiered it, period. And then they go to Paris for him to write William Tell. This is in the 1830s. And in 1830, now we're getting back to why him and Bellini had the same gonorrhea, and I'm pretty sure it killed Bellini. We're gonna fact check that. So, but stay tuned. Because Bellini died when he's like, what, like 30? He died at like 30 years old. And I'm pretty sure it was from like complications from gonorrhea. It like ate his brain. Go thank your doctor for penicillin right now. Write a letter to your doctor and say, thank you for antibiotics. You know William Tell too. You know how I know you know it? Here's a clip. This is the William Tell picture. You know what I mean? Everybody knows that. They're going to know that the minute they hear it. Okay. So, he writes William Tell. William Tell is a success as shit, right? Like, people are like, oh my God, you're amazing. Because by this point, they've been waiting 5 years for him to write some more operas. He also meets this woman named Olympia. And now let me tell you about what she does for a living.
What's she do for a living?
She models nude for painters. She is the courtesan of Paris. Every famous person you know that lived in Paris at the time banged her. Bellini banged her, for sure. For sure. That's how I'm sure that they got the same gonorrhea. And I'm no doctor and I'm no disease expert. But I know how you get gonorrhea. Fornication. That's how. Look at these paintings. She's beautiful. She was beautiful. Isabella Calderon was a little beautiful too, so I feel bad for her. She's my girl, really. So like, I really sort of see Olympia as like the home wrecker in this situation. So I have a hard time feeling pity for her, but I do a little bit anyway. I pulled a bunch of paintings of her, and she's like, there's one where she's like posing, like this is the whole pose. She's like,
Are they nude ones?
yeah, it's nude, and she's like. So they start carrying on. And now people said terrible things about Olympia too. They would be like, oh, she lives with that Rossini, but she ain't wife material. He leaves Isabella in Bologna, and they don't ever live together again. And then she dies in 1845. And now we're going to talk about why she's a boss later, but she kept having a lot of gambling debts later in her life. And like, I'm sure it's also because somebody left her for a nude model. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'd probably gamble that away too. Anyway, she dies in 1845. He marries Olympia in 1846. They live together for the rest of his life. She fights for his music to be played, you know, all that stuff. So this whole time he's carrying on with her, and he's got a wife. I don't know, he's a pimp, right? Like, I'm not saying I like support this. I'm saying it's true. And I can forgive him for it because of point number 4. This is the only reason I can forgive him for it. And I mean the only reason. Because I'm a Rossini feminist. Why am I a Rossini feminist? Because out of 39 operas, we've got like, I don't even know how many. I need to go back and count at some point. We're going to count. We'll put it in the comments. So anyway, okay, so what he tended to do in operas that I feel like nobody was doing at this time. I mean, people were doing this back in early opera, but nobody was really doing it in the bel canto period. Nobody was writing about women in a way that made the woman the protagonist in a story and not because of her relation to the men in the story. What's that test called?
Bechdel.
The Bechdel test. That's right. Nobody was doing that. But he's writing about characters like Elena in Donna del Lago, who's the one like making decisions and saving everybody's life. He's writing about Semiramide, who's a queen who gets to be evil and doesn't have to be like nice and sugary just because she's a girl. He's writing about Rosina, who charts her own escape from her own situation. He's writing about Cenerentola, who is... Oh, there's a big-ass spider up there. He is writing about Cenerentola, who is deciding in the face of everything to be a good person. If she ain't getting picked because she's pretty, she's getting picked because she is good. He's given titles to his operas like The Triumph of Goodness. He is letting these women speak for themselves. Now, I have no idea, and none of us will ever know, what role having a wife who you're writing this for played in that, because I have, like, this theory in my head that, like, they'd be laying in bed at night, and she'd be like, why she gotta say it like that? About everything he wrote. Either way, I am fine with it. I don't care whose fault it is. The point is, we have so many operas now of his where we have female characters who are making their own decisions, who are leading people, who are talking about the power of like goodness and treating people a certain way, who are being smart enough to get them out of situations, who don't rely on men to save them, we have like a wealth of female characters like this in Rossini operas, and you really don't see it before and you really don't see it after. But again, I just made myself a bel canto historian. So, that is number 4 reason that I'm obsessed. Anyway, 2 installments of $9.99 will get you this Rossini feminist shirt. And I'm looking at you, Alex Romano. I know you don't. You're right. We got a pandemic on. We got to take care of us and ours. $19.99 up front, or you don't get the shirt. Anyway, so Rossini feminist. I wish we had those printed for me to wear in this video. That would be amazing. Wouldn't that be cool if I was wearing a Rossini feminist t-shirt right now and he had like sunglasses on? That'd be cool. Anyway, we don't have that. That's not reality. Back to reality. I got one more.
Oh.
I want to say the cool things that his contemporaries said to him. I really only have 2, but they're fucking cool, so I want to say them. Okay, so no compliments matter from anybody except people who do what you do. And like, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like your mom is like, you were the best one on stage. And you're like, you're a liar. You gave birth to me and you have to say that. You know that feeling. You know what I'm talking about. Rossini's contemporaries have some really cool shit to say to him about his work. And he was like very well respected. We've already talked about how he was very rich, very famous. He went everywhere. He did everything. Whatever. The father of the fire movement. Whatever. Father of the Fire Festival? No. If Rossini had been in charge of the Fire Festival, it might have gone differently. That's all I'm saying. Anyway. Because he was successful. Actually successful. So, Rossini loves Beethoven. Like, he loves Beethoven. Like, he had gone to see the Eroica Symphony, and he was like, I love Beethoven. How do I meet Beethoven? So he starts, like, calling on every person he knows, being like, do you know how to get me into Beethoven's house? Finally, he trips somebody who knows Beethoven, and they're like, I'm going to take you over to see Beethoven. They pull him in to see Beethoven, and Beethoven goes, I know you. You wrote The Barber of Seville. And he's like, yeah, I did. I wrote The Barber of Seville. And Beethoven goes, people are going to be singing and playing The Barber of Seville for hundreds of years after you die. But don't try to write no serious opera. No joke. He looked Rossini in his face and said, don't try to write no serious opera now. And then Rossini's friend who brought him in was like, Beethoven. Except for Beethoven was dead. So he was like, Beethoven! He's already wrote some serious operas. And Beethoven goes, yeah, I saw those. You heard what I said. But either way, that's an amazing compliment from Beethoven. When Beethoven is like, looks at your work and says to you, hey, people are going to be doing your work long after you die and long after all of us are gone. Okay. And then Donizetti, and I want to end with this because I think this is important. Mm-hmm. So everybody's standing outside Rossini's apartment in Paris after he writes William Tell, and they're cheering and they're clapping and they're just a cheering. Donizetti says, and I am not being kidding you about this, he says, the first and last acts of William Tell were written by Rossini. But the middle one, that one was written by God. Hey! It was written by God. They said it was written by, you heard it. Donizetti said it was written by God. Written by God. That's why I'm obsessed with Rossini. That's what I got.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
Very good.
I feel tired now. I feel spent. Did that make any sense?
This is the day of the show, y'all.
Oh my.
Here we go.